Welcome to Mallett and Michelle on Dripping Springs, hosted by me, Michelle Lewis, and Steve Mallett.
Well, hey there, Michelle.
Hello, Steve Mallett.
It's been kind of funny lately around town, hasn't it? With Founders Day and everything, we've been getting approached by people that, well, you have been. I know people know I'm a podcaster because I just randomly get flipped off in the parking lot at HEB. But you've had a couple people come up to you and say, "Can I get a picture with you?"
Well, yeah, because I'm me, number one.
Yeah.
No, I think also is because it was conversation starter, the banner. You know, as much controversially people thought it was going to be, it really wasn't. It was a conversation starter. It was. But it is a little unnerving, people that have come up to me and have recited stories from the show that I have said. And so I had this conversation with my son. I was like, "Do I share too much?" And he said, "Mom, anybody that knows you, you're a sharer. You're an oversharer.
You are an oversharer."
And you know what? That's just who I am. And I hope it doesn't get exploited for nefarious reasons, but I'm just,
it's funny. This show is actually just sort of a glimpse into our work life together. Cause this is what we're doing right now is how you and I talk to each other all day long.
Yeah. I basically just harass you all day.
You do. And I respond by crying.
You cry.
Kicking my feet on the floor. Hey, our guest today is Dr. Michelle Wendt of Indigo Healing Acupuncture and Massage.
I have some really good questions for her, I think.
I do too. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot going on there. She's an acupuncturist, an herbalist, and the list of stuff that she treats and the treatments that she offers, I think that are going to be very interesting to talk to her.
Some of them I can't even pronounce, but I'm sure that's not shocking to most of you because I can't pronounce most things.
It's true. Say that third word right there.
Okay, wait. Auricular acupuncture.
I'm actually not sure. Auricular is the right way.
I want to know what
the white way to say that.
I want to know what moxibustion is.
Combustion. Moxie and combustion. It's a lot of combustion.
Fire.
Fire.
So, Steve, do you know a lot what's in your food? Do you pay attention to labels and stuff like that?
I try, and I've been probably more focused on it recently than I've ever been, trying to find good, healthy food, because mostly from what you see on social media. But at the end of the day, no, I don't really know everything that's in our food. Well,
I found something a little disturbing, and I kind of went down a rabbit hole, and I found this out through TikTok because,
social media.
So HEB.
Yeah.
Favorite grocery store. All Texans love them. And, HEB has these green check items.
Mm-hmm.
So apparently January 2022, the government said that you have to, I don't know the exact wording of the language, but you have to identify what items are GMO, genetically engineered or genetically modified engineered foods, right?
What's the O? Is it organism? Genetically modified organism?
Genetically modified organisms.
Okay.
Yeah. And basically what that means is that foods have had their DNA changed using genes from other plants or animals, and they take the gene for a desired trait in one plant or animal and they insert it into the gene.
Right.
Yeah,
because nothing ever goes wrong when you modify Mother Nature.
No.
Ever.
But I found out that HEB tortillas and tortilla chips are bioengineered food.
I think corn is one of the most modified things, isn't it?
That's exactly what I found out as far as like what is the most, it is, corn is one of the most. So I kind of, like I said, I went down the rabbit hole of like the pros and cons. And so of course there's arguments on both ways. But, one of them says, it advances the quality of our grown food, which has a longer shelf life. Okay, well, I don't think like real food should last there's a reason why it spoils, right?
Yeah.
It can boost the yields that an individual can generate on existing lands, meaning that the farmers can produce more on
the same amount of land.
It can be transported to inaccessible regions of the world. I guess in areas, underserved areas in the world, it can kind of, what does it say? 17% more, Food production in the world is 17%
Hey,
more
Scotty,
than is required.
she's doing percentages right now.
Oh, so sorry. Required for the population. The problem is how food can be dispensed to the countryside where individuals have little qualities of food. So that's one of the arguments. But then there's some like really kind of scary stuff. Of course, it can preserve energy, oil, blah, blah, blah. But it can contribute to a rise in allergic reactions, which I didn't realize that.
Yeah, I was reading that too. But it's wild because you go into the store and you're like, oh, these are bananas, and you're like, oh, bananas are healthy. But then you look at how they're grown and how they're shipped and how they're kept fresh, or fresh in quotes. And that stuff kind of gets scary.
Well, and then it also says it can contribute to antibiotic resistance, which that's interesting. I guess we're kind of becoming an antibiotic resistant world. GMOs have been linked to cancer. I guess everything is going to link to cancer nowadays. Very few companies are in charge of all the GMO seed markets. So I guess they have like kind of a monopoly.
And some of these companies are, well,
DuPont.
You've heard of them. DuPont, Dow, Bayer, BASF, some of the largest corporations in the world.
Well, how funny is it? Some of the same people that are carrying the seeds are some of the same people that are creating the medicines that these GMOs are.
Ooh, Michelle, there's a rabbit hole.
Yeah. So I know. I mean, but I'm just a little ticked off that HEB, of all people, HEB prides itself on homegrown Texan quality food.
The thing about our food, Holly and I were talking about this over the weekend. The channels that our food goes through, first of all, this country is consuming such a huge amount of food. If you ever go into HEB on Sunday and they're restocking the shelves, they are unloading tons and tons and tons of food that's only in there for a couple of days. It's moving out the door. So, I mean, the amount of food that has to be produced in this country to feed the people that are buying it, it's enormous. And they've got to have ways to make more food on less land as lands are being, farmlands are being used up for other things.
I wonder if people have gone through their COVID hoard yet. Remember when we would have to wait in line to go buy
food? Oh my God,
food?
That's so ridiculous, yeah.
At HEB, remember, like we would get up at 6 a.m. and wait in line to go buy spaghetti sauce because some moron bought 30 cases of spaghetti sauce.
And 14 cases of toilet paper because
true.
God forbid you run out of toilet paper.
God forbid.
Hey, have you ever been to the Driskill Hotel?
Oh, I have. I've stayed there.
Have you really?
I have. I've stayed there several times, and then one time I got kicked out.
Oh, well, that doesn't surprise me.
You want to know why I got kicked out?
I would love to know why you got kicked out.
Because when my kids were teenagers, I always tried to find fun things for them to do. And I knew that the Driskill is supposedly haunted. So I snuck about 6 kids in there and we were wandering the halls and security asked me if we were staying there.
That's funny. Yeah, actually, they offer tours now for $10. You can go in, they'll give you a tour. But there are...
Mama Lewis, free tours.
Yeah, well, I know. There are supposedly 3 ghosts there. One is Jesse Lincoln Driskill, who was the original owner, developer of the property from 1886.
Okay, don't know about that one.
Okay, he liked smoking cigars. He only owned it for 2 years and then sold it, but he liked smoking cigars. And sometimes, even though it's now a smoke-free hotel, you can walk down the halls and smell cigar smoke.
Oh, okay.
Another one is Peter Lawless, a guy that lived there 31 years, is said to walk down the halls. And then a little girl.
Yep, that's the one.
Yeah, so
that fell off.
Yeah, she was bouncing a ball and it went down the stairs and she chased it and fell down the grand staircase. And so now, sometimes in the middle of the night, guests report that somebody's bouncing a ball in the halls.
Or you hear them say, Red Rom.
Yeah, wrong hotel. But,
it looks like it, though, in certain areas of the Driskill. You look down the hallway, it definitely looks like The Shining.
Yeah, I know that. And when the hotel was built in 1886, it cost $400,000. Which is equivalent to $92 million today. Yeah, it was built before the Capitol was built.
Have you stayed there?
I've driven by there. It's the closest I've ever been.
It's really, really cool. It's a very cool.
It almost got demolished in 1969, but the Austin Heritage Society saved it by raising $700,000 to renovate it.
It's one of my favorite hotels, that and the Emily Morgan in San Antonio on the Riverwalk.
Oh, really?
That's
I haven't been to that one either. I just need to get out more often.
I know. You need to stop staying at the Motel 6.
Motel 6. Holiday Inn Express, Michelle.
With the quarters by the bed.
Have you ever thought about when you started, or have you started feeling older yet?
I woke up the other day, I sprained my wrist, and I don't know what I did.
It starts to happen to us all.
But are you talking mind or body? Because my mind is still a 12-year-old.
I'm the same. I still feel young in my head until I see myself in the mirror or when I get out of bed. But there was a story in the Wall Street Journal a couple days ago about millennials, which were born between 1980 and 1996.
My son, my oldest.
Yeah, that's right. And when they started feeling old, and they actually did a study, and the average American starts to notice signs of aging at age 42, which would include, achy joints, gray hair, stiffness, getting out of bed. And some people notice it as early as 30. And I was thinking about my dad. My dad went completely, well, not completely. He was bald on top when he was 20.
Does that make you feel old?
I don't know. Maybe it didn't for him, but that's a sign of aging, I would think.
I don't know. Some days I feel older than other. Like if I've been working in the yard all day and the next day I'm like, holy moly.
I know. See things, that's when you notice signs of aging, right? Things that you used to be able to do, no problem. I used to be able to work out in the summer sun for 8 hours a day. Now I'm out there for 45 minutes and I'm done.
Although if I'm out with my son, they do think I'm on a date with my son because they think, but it's probably because I'm just, I don't know, an overproduction of collagen or good genes or something. And I didn't, I think I also attribute it to, because they say as a female, look at your mother, look at your grandmother on how they aged. It was hard for me. My mother died when she was 60 and she had an aneurysm. So, it was really hard for me to kind of determine that. But my mother also was a smoker.
Yeah.
And so what my mother, I think potentially could have, I'm 52. What I think I'm going to look like at 60 versus what my mother looked like at 60 are two different, because I don't smoke cigarettes. I never smoke cigarettes. So
you are an anomaly though, because you don't take especially good care of yourself.
What did I eat for lunch yesterday?
A Lunchable with nachos. Yeah. which had like 500 milligrams of sodium.
But, it was delicious.
Yeah. So some people are in denial about them getting older until they have a health scare, or until you just said it, until they can't do certain things anymore. And so that's one way. And sometimes people realize they're getting older by comments. Like I noticed.
Like comments?
Yeah. Like,
if somebody says something?
It used to be people would call me Steve, and now when I'm in places, they call me Mr. Mallett, which is just sort of this, and it's not a Texas thing, because it all started happening when I got to a certain age.
I think it was like a couple of weeks ago, a client asked if I was your daughter. Remember that?
Oh God, that's right. Yeah, I'm not that old. There's a couple things you could do if you want to feel younger though. And this one's actually pretty obvious, but
start smoking cigarettes.
No, you can hang out with older people.
Oh, well,
you will feel younger if you hang out with older people.
I've always hung out with older people.
Yeah, well, me too. Some of our best friends are older, and you'll feel old if you're hanging out regularly with people that are 20 or 25 years younger than you. You will feel old.
I don't know. I hang out with my kids. We go out to Armadillo Den, and I can outlast those guys.
Yeah, you do. You have a tremendous amount of endurance for that.
I think we had this conversation with some friends this weekend. It was two separate friends, and they both said, the latest I have ever stayed out and have ever closed down a bar was for some reason with Michelle. I don't know why. It's just because I'm just like, keep going. Let's go.
I don't know how you do. And then you sleep till 2:00 the next day.
You can sleep when you're dead.
Yeah. So the best treatment of all those, just not to act your age, which you're doing perfectly.
Completed.
Yes. So I'm just going to head down to the mall and play some pinball.
Oh my God.
So I don't look like my age anymore.
Just that comment right there. Pinball.
It's 1980 all over.
I dare
again.
you to go to Barton Creek Mall and ask the security guard where the
Where's
pinball,
the pinball machines? Excuse me, sir. Come this way.
Excuse me. Speaking of aging, because we're going to have Dr. Michelle Wendt on here, there's a lot I have found I don't really understand even about either types of medicine, but Eastern versus Western medicine, as far as my weird true facts-ish.
Weird true facts.
Western medicine basically prescribes specific drugs for a disease, right? So they're treating the symptoms, right? Not getting to the root cause. Eastern medicine focuses on treating the person as a whole body rather than just their symptoms. So there's
and I think that's a problem with Western medicine is you go to the doctor, they don't even try and figure out what's wrong with you. They're like,
here's drugs.
Here's a pill. This will fix that.
Here's drugs.
And you don't even have to worry about it. Brought to you by Pfizer.
Yeah, I have a rash. Oh, here's some cream. Well, what's causing the rash? I don't know. Here's the cream.
This will make it go away.
But Western medicine is the traditional health care that we're receiving in the United States. But Western medicine was really kind of put forth in World War II. It marked the beginning of the significant synthetic drug development.
Very good.
Oh, I said that. But I guess in World War II, prior to World War II, drugs weren't as packaged and readily available as they are now. But Eastern medicine, obviously, some argue it's been available since the birth of time. So what I hear
you saying with that is over the 50 or 60 or 70 years, the American public has been trained to take copious amounts of medication.
Yeah.
Where we used to, I know when I was growing up, you sort of avoided a pill until it was absolutely necessary.
I think one time I almost wanted to eat a whole jar of Bayer baby aspirin. Remember those little, because they were so good.
They were sweet and tasted
They were
orangey,
so good. Yeah, they were delicious. But Eastern medicine, people could argue that, like I said, it happened since the beginning of time, but ancient herbologists experimented with plant substances and their effects on the body. But there's pros and cons for either or. So Western medicine, it's based on science, right? Eastern medicine based on philosophy. Western medicine focuses on symptoms and how the method of treatment versus Eastern medicine focuses on the whole body and the why of the cause, kind of like what we were talking about.
I think that's what medicine should be about.
Western medicine, a higher cost. You can argue Eastern medicine has a lower cost, although they don't really traditionally accept insurance or anything. Sure. But in Eastern medicine, they say that the side effects are rarer than Western medicine.
I believe that.
But then some plants and herbs can interact with some of the Western medicine drugs that you're taking. But if you look at it, as far as Western medicine, you need it. You need it for serious diagnosis, right? Cancer, broken bones. How are you going to heal a broken bone with Eastern medicine, right?
In your case with a broken bone, I'm sure it's the same thing. I was listening to a Joe Rogan podcast the other day, and he had a doctor on there that's a cardiologist that was talking about about COVID and the COVID vaccines and the damage that was done to people from that, but also about overprescription for depression and anxiety, that we're just shoving drugs at people and not thinking about the side effects of those and the potential downside to people being on those drugs. And actually, there's been some studies that show that some people, not everybody, that people that are put on antidepressants actually get much worse.
Well, when you talk about Western medicine, one of the arguments for Western medicine is it's mostly based on scientific evidence.
Oh, God.
Well, look, given what we just went through over the last 3 years, that doesn't hold as much weight with me, because what is that? I can't think of the name of the drug right now. It starts with an R, something that they were giving these people. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I do. It was a arthritic risperidol.
Something like that.
What about thalidomide?
What about ivermectin that they were saying people are crazy for taking this stuff?
Which is one of the most widely used drugs in the world. Yeah. What about lobotomies? Remember, lobotomies were like this new trend towards healing mental illness. Remember the original food pyramid that they?
Oh yeah, now it's upside down.
Yeah, and
yeah.
It's like eat plenty. Everything was all carbs and bread and very little fats and protein. And you've talked about it before. There's some evidence that these low fat diets may have caused
dementia.
Yeah, led to dementia. And
I'm sure my Lunchable nachos are on the food pyramid.
I actually think somewhere. That, yeah. And you know what? We eat a ton of butter. We eat a ton of butter.
Years ago, when I was going through my journey of my PCOS, right, and my insulin resistance, I did away with all of the canola oils, margarines, and I eat real butter.
Real butter, folks.
It's
the
butter.
best.
It is.
It's the best.
I will slab a whole slab of slivvy butter.
We probably average 3/4 of a stick per day. I mean, we eat a lot of butter. But that's so yummy.
It is yummy.
Well, hey, some of these mysteries might be answered by Michelle Wendt when she comes in. So let's take a little break and get her in here.
This portion of the show is brought to you by the Mallett Integrity Team of real estate professionals. They are based in Dripping Springs and bring you over 45 years of combined experience helping people reach their hill country real estate dreams. When you want the best in town, call them at 512-829-2062 or look them up at mallettintegrityteam.com. And now, here's Steve and Michelle.
Mistake.
And we're back with Michelle Wendt from Indigo Healing, Acupuncture, and Massage. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Yeah. How did you end up in Dripping Springs?
That is a really interesting story, and it has to do with real estate, of all things.
Okay.
We were living in Honolulu, Hawaii.
Ooh.
Oh, wow.
Yes, my daughter was born there, and we loved it there, but very far away from family and from, supplies that you like to order and get the next day. And there's a kind of a cultural thing that happens in Hawaii where once you have a child, you kind of look at how you can get out of Hawaii because it's just a very difficult place to raise a family when you're so isolated. So my daughter was born. I got addicted to watching Fixer Upper.
Okay.
And we applied to be on the show.
No, really?
Yeah. And they called us. And we decided to do a little summer trip, kind of like a summer vacation in Texas to check it out. So we spent about a week in Waco and toured homes and found some great potential homes. And the team said, why don't you stay a couple extra days, check out Waco and make sure that you like it here because it's very different from Hawaii.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
A little. Just a little.
Yeah. And we decided Waco wasn't really the right fit for us. So we got back on the road and drove down to Austin, Googled a realtor. We ended up buying a house here on our last day of our trip.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that is it. So like the process when you told Chip and Joanna, no, you don't want to live. That's ballsy.
I did not get to meet Chip and Joanna,
you
so
didn't?
it was not that dramatic.
So somebody else took
it was
you
their
around?
team.
Oh.
Yes. Yeah.
So is the premise of that show that you go to Waco and buy a house and they help you fix it up? Is that?
Yes.
Yes.
And it has to be within a certain radius of Waco.
Oh, okay. Not Dripping Springs.
Not Dripping Springs. Yeah. I think it was a 45-mile radius when we were looking. So,
okay.
It was we loved the houses, but, just didn't have all the right pieces for us. And I really wanted to be close to an airport with like international flights.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
that
would have been a long drive.
So where did you grow up?
I actually grew up outside of Chicago in northwest suburb. Yeah.
Oh.
You've gone to both ends of the country there, as far out west as you can go.
Well, I moved, really quick story of all the places I lived. I was born in California, moved out to Chicago when I was in the 3rd grade, ended up knew I didn't want to stay in the Midwest because the winters are horrendous.
Oh, yeah.
And ended up going to college in California again. And my senior year of college, I did an internship in Washington, D.C. for the United Nations.
Oh.
And it was an amazing experience, and I decided to move there after I graduated.
Okay.
So I ended up moving from California to D.C., and then I went from D.C. to Hawaii, and then from Hawaii to Dripping Springs.
What was your internship at the UN?
Seeing if they had brains.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but
I made a lot of copies.
Were you going to? Were you going to school for civics or something? Or
I was a double major in environmental politics.
Okay.
So Yeah.
And then how did you get into now acupuncture and herbalist?
Yeah, Chinese herbalist. So that's a whole nother story. So I was living in Washington, D.C. I actually moved, when I moved back, I got a job with the Department of Energy working on nuclear waste cleanup. So traveling around the country.
Holy cow, Michelle.
I know. Like this is not in my bio. So how would you know?
No.
Wow.
I know, I'm blown away. I'm blown away.
I need to write that down.
Oh, but it gets better.
Okay.
So I worked with nuclear waste cleanup for 3 years and traveling around to different sites around the country where all this nuclear waste is buried.
Okay, wait. Stop for a second. What is nuclear waste? What is that?
It's basically all the things that were kind of left over from the Cold War that our military needed to put somewhere. So there's disposal sites all around the country. And so it's really working with... Did you get to wear one
of those really cool hazmat suits?
I did.
You did?
I did, yeah.
Oh,
yeah. Meeting, and a lot of what we did, I worked for an advisory board, which is just a group of experts in that area, and working with local communities because nobody wanted this stuff in their backyard.
Oh, yeah.
So really we call them stakeholders, working with them to come up with solutions on how we could, make it a little bit better for them to have it buried there.
And how do you actually dispose of it?
You just have to bury it. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
In fact, there's some buried right in your backyard.
I'm
Michelle.
sure. Yeah.
You just never know.
I'm sure there is. That's why I'm so bubbly and shine all the time.
Yeah, that's right.
It's the nuclear waste.
Yeah. How did you get a job cleaning up nuclear waste?
It's very
with your schooling?
The application process was very similar to how I got a job with you. Just go. Okay, sorry. I had to say that. Go ahead.
Well, I had degrees in environmental science and politics, and so this was environmental policy.
Okay.
Just not the kind of environmental policy I imagined that I would be going into.
That's crazy. Wow.
Yeah. I'm blown away.
Yeah.
So I had that job for 3 years, and at the end of that, it was a contract position, so we were a government contractor, and that contract ended, and I needed a new job. And so I actually got recruited by a defense contractor to move over from the energy side over to defense. And I don't have any military background, but they really wanted me, so I jumped over to that side of the world and became a defense policy analyst.
Oh, my gosh. Michelle. We were going to talk to you about acupuncture.
You're like a little bipolar on your
Pandora's box.
I know it
is.
Here. Who knew? This little petite little Dr. Michelle in here is just wow.
What kind of policies were you consulting on?
I actually worked on a lot of. I worked for another advisory board out of the Pentagon. So this board, my first project ever with this advisory board was the SARS pandemic. If you remember that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So we had, the best science minds at the time come into a room, and my job was to sit there and take notes and to help them. I had to do all the meeting minutes, and these were like 3-day meetings. And
was Dr. Fauci there?
No. I don't know where he was back then. I mean, that was probably like 20 years ago. So who knows?
He was hiding out in that Wuhan lab.
Yeah. And I worked on all kinds of projects. I generally
That's fascinating.
And I wrote reports for this board, so you can go to the Pentagon sites and you can read all these reports. And
that's crazy.
I love DC as far as just the history and the buildings and all the museums. I've been there several times, and I really love going.
I
to
hate
the Smithsonian.
DC. It's because of all the bureaucrats.
No.
The politicians
I like
and the lying and the scheming.
But I like the history. I like to go to the Smithsonian's, and it's just, I could just get lost in there, just going.
Yeah.
And it's all all the museums are free.
Yes,
it was a fantastic place to spend my 20s. I didn't need a car. I just walked to work.
I bet.
Rode the metro. It was great.
That's cool.
How did you get into medicine then?
Okay, so as I was in DC for 10 years, started out as a defense policy analyst and started working my way up in my corporation. And with that came added stress. So I ended up getting horrible migraines, the worst migraines imaginable. And DC is great. They have a great medical community, really great doctors there. But my doctors were just interested in throwing different medications at me and seeing kind of what worked. I was getting, I would say on average, at least 2 migraines a week. And when I got migraines, they call it migraine with aura because basically, you have vision disturbances.
That's how mine are. Yeah.
Yeah. Just a horrible way to live, and getting 2 a week that would last for 2 to 3 days at a time. Just not enjoyable.
Yeah, you're in this horrid cycle where you're.
Yeah.
My eyes don't track. My brain doesn't track what my eyes are. Like I'll move my head, and it's like I'm still over here to the left side. It's just weird.
It's really common. Yeah.
It's I don't like it.
So what were they treating you with at that time?
I can't say the name of the drug.
I can say it starts with an I, probably.
No, it was a different one.
Oh.
I never mention it anywhere in any of my blogs or anything because I don't want them to come after me.
Yeah.
Oh, probably a good idea.
But it was I was on it for 3 months. My hair fell out. I think I lost 20 pounds, and I'm pretty small to begin with.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have any appetite. It changed how my taste buds were working.
Topamax.
Oh,
That's what I think. That's
Michelle
what I
did
think.
not say that.
I was on that.
Okay.
It made me stupid.
All right.
They call it Dopamax. I got lost in HEB one time because of it.
So actually what happened was I had a very short commute to work. And I was living in a suburb of DC at that time. And it was like a 10-minute drive. And I got in my car after work one day, and I couldn't remember how to get home.
Oh, my
Yep.
gosh.
Yep.
Yeah, it was terrifying.
That's exactly what happened
My
to me.
brain was like, you know how to get home. And I was like, but how do I get home?
Yeah.
And I remember going into my neurologist. It was probably like a month-long wait to get an appointment, right? I went in and I was like, I can't stay on this. I think I was 28 at the time. I got lost driving home from work. And he said, oh, you'll adapt. You'll get used to it. You're going to be on this the rest of your life.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
So you became a searcher for your own health.
I actually didn't. I didn't know what to do. I grew up in Western medicine.
Yeah.
You take a pill to fix something. That was the only thing I knew. One of my coworkers actually, because I sat in it was a private office, and I would always have the fluorescent lights turned off. If I had a migraine at the time, I'd be looking at my computer screen with sunglasses on. So she walked by my desk one day and said, oh, you have a headache again? And I said, yeah. And she said, have you gone across the street? I said, well, what's across the street besides a bar?
That's what she was talking about, probably.
No, she said, there's an acupuncture clinic across the street. And I said, that is the craziest thing I've ever heard. That's not real.
Hokey. Yeah.
I was like, that is not a real thing. If that was a real thing, somebody would have told me about it by now. And she said, just go. Just give it a shot. And so at that point, I'm a Virgo, very organized, had a binder full of all my medical records and like migraine diaries and all kinds of things, all the different labs I'd had run and scans and all the things. So a huge binder. I took it over to this acupuncturist, and she sat down for an hour and looked at every single page in that binder.
Really?
Yeah. And I was like, do you think you can help? And she said, I can absolutely help. She said, I bet I can get you off of all your medicines within 3 months.
Oh, wow.
I said, well, what do I have to do? She said, just show up 3 times a week for an hour. And I said, okay, I'm across the street. I can do it during my lunch break. And 3 months after that first visit, my migraines are gone.
Oh, wow.
Did they slowly diminish, or did you just wake up one day and went, oh, they slowly got better. They got less extreme over time?
Yeah. So what we look at now that I look at, because I treat migraines in my clinic, we look at the severity, the duration, and the frequency of headaches. And we try to get improvements in all those areas.
Is that the most common thing that you treat with acupuncture is pain, basically?
Chronic pain, yeah.
Chronic pain. And are headaches one of the most common things?
They're pretty common. I would say joint pain is probably more common, just because we all have so many joints in our body that can have things go wrong.
Is that a joint pain from injury or joint pain from aging?
Mostly from aging. We see a lot of osteoarthritis in the clinic.
Okay. Yeah, I was asking for myself.
Yeah.
Why are women seem to be more susceptible to migraines than men?
It's hormonal. In many cases, it's a hormonal type trigger because we have that shift from estrogen dominance to progesterone dominance. And also migraines are hereditary. So if you have a parent with migraines or a grandparent, you're more likely to have them and kind of be susceptible to
you have
that
what
shift.
Michelle has. You just
make up words.
Make up words. I love that.
Yes.
They know when I have a headache because they'll walk in and the office is dark. And I go, I guess we're working in the dark today.
That's right.
Yes, you are.
Yeah, so it's funny in my clinic now because we do see so many patients with migraine headaches and also tension headaches and other headaches. We don't use any fluorescent lighting.
I hate these lights. I hate them. We actually have lights that are out in our office our real office, not our studio,
out.
I won't let them replace them.
Because it's dimmed everything.
Yeah.
So Michelle, you said that when you were having your migraines, doctor gave you a pill because that's Western medicine. There's a pill to fix everything, fix every condition. That's obviously a much bigger problem than we could solve today. But how do you think we got to that point, and how do we fix it? Because it does seem to me like they're not trying to fix the problems anymore. They're just trying to give you a pill to cover it up.
Well, what's funny about pharmaceutical medicine now is you take one pill, but then it causes all these other side effects. So then your doctor gives you another pill.
Right.
And I see that with so many of my patients. And I think that's just because that's what insurance is based on, is there's such a tie between medical insurance and then pharmaceutical companies.
Right.
And the whole healthcare system is linked. It wouldn't function without pharmaceuticals.
Well, it's broken, but I would think that from an insurance standpoint, you would want alternative treatment.
It's a lot cheaper to give somebody a pill than it is to get MRIs and CAT scans and all that stuff. That's why.
Well, yeah, but then in order sometimes to get to the pill, you got to have the CAT scan and the MRI, and you got to have all this other stuff. But ultimately, if you're getting down to the root cause,
not if it's a $1 pill. Maybe if it's a $2,000 pill, but not if it's a cheapy pill.
I think the bigger problem is the lobbyist of these pharmaceutical companies that are.
It's a machine.
Pushing,
It's just a machine.
I was listening to a podcast the other day, and they were saying 65% of the funding for the FDA comes from pharmaceutical companies. And we're one of the only countries in the entire world that allows prescription drugs to be advertised on TV and media. I think that's got to change.
Yeah, and they'll list off all those side effects right at the bottom of the screen, or they'll start reading them really fast.
I know.
And I mean, that's what we've grown up with in our culture, is you take a pill.
And it's sad. I think we're going to have to fix that, because we can't be sustained. Ooh, I almost did it too. Substained. No.
Trendsetter, #trendsetter is what I am. Tell me about, you were talking earlier before we came on about you integrate your practice. What exactly does that mean?
Yeah. So when I was working on my doctoral degree, I did a doctoral rotation over at Dripping Springs Pediatrics. And the whole point of the doctoral program in the world of acupuncture and Chinese medicine is to really build a bridge between Western medicine and Eastern medicine or Chinese medicine, so that patients get the best of both worlds. We would never tell our patients to stop seeing a Western doctor, because they have a purpose and they do have tools that can be helpful. But it's also nice to be able to bring in some more holistic modalities and get people feeling better without side effects that come with a lot of the Western approaches.
Do a lot of the Western medical doctors say good things about integrated medicine?
They do, yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. We work with a lot of local MDs here in Dripping Springs that we share patients with, and it's really our ideal patient is somebody who has come in to see us because they've been sent by their doctor, because their doctor doesn't have anything else in their toolbox to offer them. They've tried painkillers, they've tried different prescription medications, they've tried physical therapy, and maybe that didn't get them to where they wanted to be able to function in their daily activities. So that's when they come see us.
I was telling Steve earlier, we were talking this morning, and I said, I feel like fibromyalgia is one of those terms that doctors throw out when they don't have any other label to give. And then like IBS has kind of been one of the other ones.
Chronic fatigue syndrome.
Yeah, chronic fatigue syndrome. Yeah, and it's just like, okay, let's just throw out this general term instead of really kind of figuring out and getting down to the root cause. How do you compensate for people who are afraid of needles going in there, and they're like, that's their you're just the needle lady, and you're not really like the healer.
Needle lady.
Well, have you seen me at HEB when I put them in my head and I forget to take them out?
No.
And I walk through HEB with needles in my head and nobody says a word.
Then you're the needle lady. There you go.
They're like, there she is.
Is that a true story?
All the time.
Oh my God.
Here's Michelle with the needles hanging out of her.
Are you doing acupuncture on yourself?
I can, yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
So if you're hesitant about that, how do you put that person at ease?
There's a lot of education that comes with what we do in our clinic, because most people have never even thought about acupuncture as a possible solution. And they come in and I've never really had anybody walk into our clinic that says, I love needles. Give me all the needles.
Oh.
So that doesn't happen. So there is a lot of education that goes into it. Our needles are nothing like what you would see at a Western medical office. They're solid. They're not hollow. So there's really no pain. And I always remind people that we treat a ton of children as young as 2 years old.
So even you, mind. Steve, can go get it done.
Good, yeah.
Even you.
Actually, I was thinking about my wife, Holly. She's had chronic back pain, and she's had 2 ablations, and the last one didn't do what the first one did. And she's been thinking about acupuncture. So if she came into the office and said, hey, I'm just, pain down my leg, what would be the first step of that process to you guys treating her?
Yeah, the first step is coming in to meet with me. And we do what we call a medical case review consultation, where we look through all the different medical history that you have. I ask you what we call the 10,000 questions to try to figure out the root cause. And we develop a treatment plan. I always start off all of my consultations saying, I do not have a magic wand. Can't fix everything with one treatment. Acupuncture is clinically proven to work with a specific frequency of treatments and a specific duration of treatments. So it's a lot like going to PT. A PT can't fix your knee problem with one session.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
what kind of range of treatments would you include in that? If coming up with a plan, what besides obviously acupuncture, but other things that you might come up with?
Yeah, we have herbal medicine as well. It's not always appropriate for every patient, depending on what other medications they're taking. We also have what we call biomats on every single treatment table. A biomat is an infrared heating device, so it's really good for chronic pain. We also have PEMF therapy, which is another type of infrared mat that you can lie on.
Okay.
And then we have a amazing massage therapist as well.
Wait, what was the word I didn't know? What was it?
It was auricular acupuncture.
Auricular, yeah. So that's acupuncture on the ear.
Oh, interesting.
Oh, so and no, the other one was
moxibustion.
Yeah,
moxibustion.
Yeah, what's that?
Moxibustion is really fun because it does feel like Harry Potter type magic. It's a tiny tube. The tubes come in different sizes, but it's the mugwort leaf, and it's dried and wrapped in this tiny tube, and we light it on fire, and it does magical things for pain. We also flip breech babies with it.
Did you bring one of those?
Wait. What did you say? You what?
We can flip breech babies with moxibustion.
Goodness.
It's been clinically proven. Like there's tons of studies on it.
So are you manipulating it all, or is you just?
We don't even touch the patient with this magic wand.
I had one of mine was breech, and they manipulated.
We try to get patients from having that ECV.
Oh.
Yeah.
Are they inhaling the smoke? Is this
no?
No, but she lights it on fire.
Okay, this is going to blow your mind. We light this tube on fire, and it never touches the patient, and it goes near their toe, and the baby will flip.
I want to see that. Pull up a video.
A video, or it didn't happen.
I want to see that. Wow.
Oh, I had it done. It was so incredibly painful, and they tell you the risk and everything. And then that night, that little pain in the ass flipped back.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'll do that.
Man. Was that Tate?
No, it was Kendall.
Oh, it was Kendall.
Yeah. Those her horns got stuck.
Yeah. You were saying you do some treatments with herbs. What is that, like supplement kind of things? Pills they take, or the tea leaves?
Teas.
Yeah. So Chinese herbal medicine is a whole system of medicine, and it's based on roots, leaves, stems, all different plant parts, a few different animal parts as well, depending on the formula. There's hundreds of Chinese herbs.
Sure.
They have Chinese names, so they don't directly translate into what we see in normal supplements here. The beauty of Chinese herbal medicine is that we group together different herbs and they have a synergistic effect. And so we're able to give those to patients, usually in capsule form here in Texas. Where I trained in Hawaii, people like to really cook their herbs on the stove and see all the different parts and strain it. But nobody in Texas wants to taste their herbs, so we do capsules. And they're great because there's no side effects. It's kind of like almost a medicinal food because they're all just plant parts. And
there's been a lot of talk recently about how your gut controls so much of your body, including in some cases your mental health.
Of course, yeah, serotonin.
Do you address that when you're treating people?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Acupuncture itself really influences how the nervous system is processing stimuli, both internal stimuli, so what your body is actually, how it's functioning, and then also external stimuli, which would be stress and all that brain power we use every day. And a lot of that does go back to the gut. So your gut is a huge producer of serotonin, which is the feel-good hormone. It makes you feel comfortable and safe. And so when we do acupuncture, it really encourages the production of serotonin, dopamine, so you're getting that reward vibe, and then it boosts endorphins throughout your system. So after an acupuncture treatment, during an acupuncture treatment, you typically fall asleep. It's like, we call it the acu nap, because it's the best nap you'll ever have. You don't wake up groggy. You just feel totally refreshed. And then you stand up and you get that endorphin rush like you just went on the best run of your life.
So
this sounds like a date. I want to take Holly on a date.
So I could eat my Lunchable nachos. I could go get acupuncture. And it's like I ran.
Yeah,
and I won't
just
be
like that.
Fat
all the
food shamed by you.
benefits and everything. Yeah.
And it increases libido.
Well,
there you go.
Sold. What's the appointment?
It's a date, Holly. It's a date.
The appointment.
What kind of stuff do people do that actually depresses their serotonin production, though? Like, what kind of things are people doing that they should start avoiding?
Working.
Stress, anxiety.
The biggest thing is not sleeping enough.
Yeah.
We all need to get sleep, and so many people don't have a good quality of sleep.
What do you tell? I'm probably guilty of that. What do you tell people they should be looking to get sleep-wise? And is there like a test, that you wake up in the morning, if you feel a certain way, you've gotten enough, and if you don't, how do you tell people how much sleep to get?
I don't generally tell them exactly how many hours to get. The range is between 7 and 9 hours. And what we're really looking for is a solid, a routine of sleep. So you're going to bed at the same time and you're waking up at the same time every day. And when you wake up, you feel rested and like you're ready to take on the day. The most important hours of the sleep cycle are between 1 and 3 a.m. And that's because that's really when your body is really restoring itself into deep sleep.
And that's when I wake up almost every freaking day.
People, in Chinese medicine, we have a different type of diagnosis paradigm. So we look at patterns that we see. And one of the major patterns for people with migraine headaches, and vertigo is another condition that goes along with migraine headaches, is waking up every night consistently between 1 and 3 a.m. And if we can get a patient sleeping between 1 and 3 a.m., their migraines will go away.
And you do that, you accomplish that with acupuncture?
With acupuncture.
Is it always acupuncture, or sometimes it herbs that you can give so people sleep better?
I like to start all of our patients with just acupuncture.
Okay.
Only because the herbs are amazing, and we typically add those in later if the patient needs it. Sometimes they don't need it. But I also want to show people here in Dripping Springs especially that acupuncture works by itself. I feel like when you go to a practitioner and they throw 3 different things at you, you're like, I don't know what's helping.
Right.
So I really like to show that acupuncture is enough by itself.
I'm definitely going to come in because I have a plethora of physicians, plethora that I am under. I'm neurologist, endocrinologist, rheumatologist, gastroenterologist, you name it. Is an ologist, plethora.
Psychologist,
not yet.
No.
Not yet. Not yet.
She's not.
Criminal defense attorney-ish. But no, I'm very interested in this because I have kind of felt over, especially as I've gotten older, especially with migraines, I've been through the gamut of medications, and I can't remember the one that starts with the I. Is it? I almost said ivermectin. It's not what it is. Imitrex. I was on Imitrex for a long time, and I felt like it put me into a cycle of migraines, and I ended up finding out that mine are vascular migraines. Mm-hmm. And, but I get Botox every 6 weeks for migraines.
For headaches.
Yeah, for headaches. And I've been doing it now for 15 years or so.
Michelle, somebody comes in to see you and they've been prescribed some medication like Michelle has, and you are going to start treating them. How do you handle that process? Do you call the doctor and say, I'm going to take them off this medication? What's the process for working with that other doctor?
Yeah, it's a little bit tricky because in my scope of medicine, I cannot recommend that somebody come off a prescription. That's up to the MD. So what we do is we work with the MD. So we do progress notes. We send an old school fax, so we're able to coordinate care and that usually the doctor will reach out to the patient if they feel like, okay, it's time for this patient to discontinue this medication or start weaning off. So we work with them.
What I want to know is how do the mechanics work of acupuncture? How do they promote the healing? So what is it about them that with the needles
think about it. You stick a needle in, I guess, are you sticking it in a nerve or what part?
You're definitely not sticking it in a nerve.
Sticking it in
Think
the
about
nerve.
going to the dentist. Do you want your dentist to touch a nerve? No.
So you're sticking a needle in there and it promotes healing. Yeah, tell us the mechanism for that.
The easiest way to explain it is what happens when you get a paper cut.
Ow.
You get a paper cut. What does your body do? Do you
heals
bleed
it,
forever? No.
No.
If you have a normal system and you have clotting factors and your body knows to heal that cut, it stops the bleeding and it might swell up a little bit. That's the inflammation, all the white blood cells arriving to heal that spot and grow new skin. Acupuncture is very similar. It's a foreign object going into the body. And we almost think about acupuncture points. There's hundreds on the body. So we're able to find areas that are more, we call them more active. And everybody can find their own acupuncture points on their body. You can just run your finger along your arm, and wherever your finger stops is generally a point. Acupuncture points, physiologically, they're always in a depression on your skin. So, try. Grab your arm. I know you can't see this on the slide. There you go.
There?
Yep, you both found your points.
Oh, that's pretty funny.
Yeah. So we use those points almost as arrows to tell the body direct energy as to what it needs to heal. And once we get more than one point going at a time, it really, all these things happen within the nervous system. The biggest thing that happens is as soon as that needle enters the skin, your body responds, foreign invader, send help. And it releases nitric oxide into all your cells, which is like super power boost of healing. So that's generally how it works.
That's I had a Rosti for some running injuries over the years, and that's what it feels like. And I think that's the mechanism they talk about. So they do that deep tissue massage, and that promotes healing because it breaks all that stuff down.
Adhesions.
Adhesions. Yeah. So now you're running this business, Indigo Healing, Acupuncture, and Massage. How do you spend most of your day treating patients, or are you spending a lot of your time running that business now?
A lot of time running the business. Yeah. And I'm pretty involved in the community. So
I know. We were looking
going
at bless, girl. When do you have time to? Speaking of sleep, because you're on the chamber, you're on the DS Ed Foundation. You're a holistic business coach, which I want to know about that.
Yeah.
What is that? What does that mean?
I work with practitioners across the country to basically scale up their business so that as one person, you can only help so many people. And so it's really about growing a team and getting other practitioners to adopt your vision and your mission and go out and help more people, expand your reach.
Are these people that are doing what you're doing?
Mostly acupuncturists. They do have a dentist and a physician as well. Yeah, it's a small group.
Do you feel
very
like
selective?
This industry is a growing industry that more and more people are starting to understand, and I guess also the big misconceptions about what acupuncture can and can't do, right?
Yeah. I feel like it's a growing industry because people are getting frustrated with modern
Completely
medicine.
agree, Michelle.
Completely agree. And most acupuncturists that you meet anywhere will tell you a personal story similar to mine where they just kind of hit this medical dead end and didn't know what to do.
So aside from your own success story, without obviously naming a patient, can you talk about a success story that you have of a patient that you've treated?
Not the name, obviously.
Not the name.
Yeah. Oh, you don't want all the details?
Yeah.
No, give us their name, their home address,
their address, and their phone number.
Social Security number.
Well, that's what Google reviews are for, right? People can tell their own stories. Yeah. The most obvious success stories that we have are fertility patients, people coming in for fertility issues, male and female infertility, and having a baby because of us.
And
that's the best.
You treat them with acupuncture?
Yes.
God, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I don't want to politicize this, but did you treat anybody that had side effects from the COVID vaccine?
Yes.
Can you treat people that I've heard more and more of my friends have continued to have lost their taste and their smell.
Yeah.
And you guys can help treat that?
We can.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. We've treated quite a bit of that in the past 2 years.
Yeah. I got one COVID shot and never had headaches in my life. And for 6 months I had debilitating headaches, and they finally went away. But I mean, I went to my doctor and they were like, oh, no, it's not caused by that. I'm like, well, it's caused by something. Can we figure out what it is? But, so you would treat, if somebody came in with those kind of headaches, you'd treat them with acupuncture.
Correct. Yep.
Yeah. So when about how many hours a day do you think you're spending treating patients now?
I work about 20 hours a week. Okay. I do have 2 other acupuncturists that work with me as well. So we each do about 20 hours a week.
Yeah. Is that your favorite part of what you do? Or is it running the business?
Fun. Yeah. I like both sides of it.
Do you?
Yeah.
Are you real involved in social media?
Yes.
You are? I didn't follow your social media, but do you like that?
That means I'm not doing enough stuff.
No. It means I hate social media.
That means he hates social media.
There are some things I like about it, but in my mind, it's sort of a necessary evil. I think if I got out of real estate, I would probably never get on there again. Yeah. But, so are you handling your social media yourself, or do you have a marketing company?
I do. We do not have a marketing company. I do depend on my team to send me things to share. And so we're always sharing.
Do you do videos of yourself talking about certain things?
Every day we do a video.
Do you?
Yep.
All right. I got to follow it.
Yeah.
I have a question about cost.
Yes.
And I am under the misconception, I think a lot of people would, well, I have health insurance, right? And so this treatment is more than likely not covered under my health insurance. I'm already paying for my health insurance. So if I'm calling them saying, oh, well, do you accept my Blue Cross Blue Shield? And you're like, no, what should I expect?
And first of all, do you guys accept insurance?
We do not accept payments from insurance companies. So what we do, we're considered out-of-network providers. And there are lots of insurance companies that now cover acupuncture. It's not super uncommon. It's actually more common that they do have some kind of coverage for it. And sometimes they'll combine it with chiropractic. So they'll give you X number of visits per year.
So they pay you and then
so we receive payment from the patient, and then the patient, we give them all the documentation they need to submit a claim, and then the patient gets paid back by their insurance company.
So what's the average cost of treatment if I'm going in for migraines, right? And what would somebody expect to pay out of pocket for something like that? Just average.
Yeah. The price can range anywhere from like $120 to $150
a visit
per visit.
That's actually not bad considering. I mean, that's a night out. And
what we really, the cost is the cost.
Yeah.
And really, it's about what's important to the patient. Do they have any other options? Have they tried everything? And if we're able to get to only see them a couple of times, but give them enough lifestyle recommendations, stop drinking Diet Coke. Diet Coke will mess with your nervous system, that kind of thing. Sometimes that's
some
enough
pretty
to really
basic stuff that
just reminding people to take care of themselves does a world of help.
Basic things out there now that everybody should be doing, and it's like you beat yourself over the head. It's like, don't drink Cokes, don't drink soda. It's like, geez, it's just basic, right? But people just constantly doing it.
Yep.
Are there things that you're seeing now that you hadn't seen when you first started into this industry that are kind of surprising you? And I'm gonna preface this by saying mental health.
Oh, for sure.
The more and more mental health issues that we're seeing in our...
Yeah, we, after COVID, especially with our pediatric patients, after COVID, everybody was coming in with anxiety, panic attacks. And these are, elementary school kids, middle school kids, high school kids, severe depression. I've never seen so much of it before, and we're still dealing with it.
Guests,
yeah.
It's such a shame what the last 3 years have done to just our society as a whole.
It's like those 3 years were just ripped from everybody, kids and all the way. Everybody we just lost that.
The hardest part is there's not a clear solution for it, right?
Yeah.
There's what we can do in our clinic, but throwing medicine at these kids is not the answer either.
I know. And that you said it, the side effects of some of that stuff. Yeah, maybe it fixes one thing, but then it causes them not to sleep or whatever. But what is Empower DSTX?
Empower.
Is that Michelle Power?
No, it's
Michelle Power.
That is the largest female entrepreneur networking group here in Dripping Springs. We have over 900 members, and we're meeting tonight.
Really?
Yeah, we meet once a month.
Is it on Zoom or is it
No,
live?
it's a real in-life person event.
Really? Have you been to that, Michelle?
I have not been to that. It's one of the many groups that is on my list, on my social calendar. I am now coming out of the wedding fog this year.
That's true.
You know, because every free moment was spent at wedding venues or with vendors. So, yeah, I'm now starting to join things.
And you don't know it about me, but I don't people very well.
Oh, he's not a people.
And first of all, I can't go to the women's thing. But,
Yeah.
But, even if I could, I'd be like, 900 people? No.
It's not 900
Not
people at
900
our
people.
events.
I know.
Yeah. We generally have between 30 and 50 at our events.
And so do you have guest speakers or what happens there?
Everybody who attends is a guest speaker.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. We all get up and talk about what we do. And it's a great opportunity there's always margaritas, by the way, to get to build connections within our community and, help each other and also talk about our businesses and who we can help.
Do people pay to be members?
They don't pay to be a member. It's based on a Facebook group.
Okay.
So that is free. But to come to an event, it's $15.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's nothing.
And you get a margarita or two.
Yeah.
And now what is your role in the chamber now?
I am on the board. So I do all the board things.
I do board things.
I go to all the events and talk to all the people and talk to new business owners.
I'm very excited. Tomorrow there's a grand opening of a certain restaurant, Panda Express.
Oh,
Finally
yeah.
opening. I'm so happy.
Michelle Lewis will be probably the first one there.
I'm
She'll
gonna
get a
eat
lifetime
egg rolls
supply
every
of
day.
Panda Express.
And did you hear who's going to be there?
No.
So Panda Express has one single owner. He owns every single Panda Express in the United States. And
Really?
he's coming.
See, I
His
heard
store.
something that they're, because this is like a unique concept that they're doing. It's
Is it drive-through only or?
No, I don't know, but I don't know what the unique concept
You'll
is.
figure it out.
I
when
will.
They open.
We're going to be there tomorrow morning.
I'll be there tomorrow morning, Steve.
Michelle, you're very active in the community. What drives you to do that?
Connecting with people.
Is that one of your favorite things?
Yeah.
You need to connect with this Michelle because that's what her.
She's
thing
very
too.
personable for sure. For sure.
Yeah.
What do you do for fun when you're very limited free time?
Very limited. Yeah.
She drinks margaritas
Yeah,
on a
that's
Tuesday night.
What do I do for fun? I love to work out. I work
Do
out
you?
a lot. That's like my way to unwind.
Like lifting, running,
I do
rowing.
Peloton. I'm a Peloton person.
Oh, are you?
Yeah. I have everything
do
I need at home.
The Peloton bike or
I have the bike. I have the bike and the tread.
Oh,
Yeah.
geez, wow.
I do it every day. Yeah.
Anything on the weekends? Like, what's your getaway?
I travel a lot. So
do you?
I travel a lot for work. I travel at least once a month. And yeah, I have a daughter, so I hang out with her when I'm not traveling. And
When you travel as in to help other women with their businesses, what's causing you to travel?
yeah, I go to a lot of entrepreneur type trainings and workshops. And this past weekend, I put together a group of 6 acupuncturists representing 6 different states. And we went away for the weekend and had a little mastermind.
needles.
Oh,
in each
nice.
other.
Stuck
Yeah.
needles in each other and drink margaritas. Tequila and needles.
Yeah.
That's the name of the podcast now.
So, Michelle, how can people find you? Where can they get information about you?
Yeah. Well, social media is a great place to start. We are most active on Instagram. So it's
And what's your Instagram?
at Indigo Healing Acupuncture.
Okay.
It's our tag.
I will follow you today.
Absolutely. And love to be able to come in for a consultation. And how far out are you booked? You pretty busy?
We are busy, but we fit people in usually the same week.
Oh,
You- you
and
could-
there you go. There's another big difference in Western medicine. I
Yeah.
try to get an appointment with my doctor, and it's August before I can get in there.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah. And your website is indigohealingacupuncture.com.
that is correct.
Yeah. Well, thank you for coming in. Boy, we
Yeah.
touched on a bunch of things here, and you did actually clear up some mysteries for us. So
Okay.
we appreciate the
Your
time you spent
background
with
has
us.
definitely surprised me for
Yeah.
sure. I don't see you in a different, I see you totally in a different light now. Like
The difference is we always ask our guests to send us a little bio, and for some reason we didn't
missed-
get one
we
from
have-
you. I think we forgot to ask you. So this was
You wouldn't have gotten all that in my bio because
Well,
you'll probably just get what's
We
kind
would
of
have
published
dug it out of
online.
you
But
anyway, Michelle.
I know. Normally, I'm a really good stalker, but I didn't find that kind of information.
you
Not
didn't.
at all.
And then last thing, where's your office located at?
we are on Highway 290 between Troutwine and Sawyer Ranch Road. There's a few business parks. They're older business parks.
Okay.
So across from the Polo Club, and we're tucked back
Like
in there.
Firehouse?
Yep.
Yeah,
Right.
in Firehouse.
Right next to the firehouse. Yep.
Oh, good. Well, I know Michelle's going to come see you,
I'm
and
for
Holly and
sure.
I are going to come on a date and get some needles stuck
All
in
right.
us. So-
Awesome. You want to hold hands during the
Yeah,
treatment?
we'd love it. Yeah.
This is a child show.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for coming in, Michelle. We appreciate the time with you.
Thank you. It was fun.
This show has been brought to you in part by the real estate pros at the Mallett Integrity Team. When you're looking to buy or sell, you need them on your side. Why settle for less when you can have real estate done right? Give them a call at 512-829-2062 or get more info at mallettintegrityteam.com.
You know you like us, so go now to Apple Podcast or Spotify and leave us a review. Why don't ya? We love your feedback and comments. Email us at mallettandmichelle@gmail.com.
Thanks for putting up with us.